PD Beats here from Pop Chernus, speaking to Sydney Cole Alexander about season 2 of Severance on Apple TV+. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
There's been a lot of monumental TV moments in history, but I feel like the way season 1 of Severance ended, it is up there, one of the most insane endings ever of a TV show. Take me through just being part of a show, whether season 1 or season 2, that had that impact it had at that time, Sydney. It's crazy.
I mean, it's really wild. I think in the beginning of season 1, when we started filming, we were in the middle of COVID. Everyone had masks on and face shields, and we weren't touching or spending time together, so it felt kind of disconnected. And I think the script is so wonderfully weird. I was really excited about it when I read the pilot, and I had an amazing feeling about it. But there was a lot of chatter of like, how is it going to turn out? Are people going to like it? Are they going to get it? And so I think when it came out, especially when the finale came out, to just see all of the excitement and all of the fan theories and the way that people responded to it was wonderful. It was exciting. It was kind of mind blowing. It just turned out even better than I had imagined. Like, I remember when I saw the season 1 premiere drop, my mind was blown, my jaw like dropped to the floor, and it was shot so beautifully. And it's just been such an exciting experience. I know people waited a really long time for season 2, so I'm glad that even more people are tuning in and responding to the show, and also that it feels relatable to people as well.
I feel like you have so many questions just as someone who is interested in seeing what happens next, right? But in terms of your character, like what is your mindset for a season 2? Like, are you, maybe for this show, it's like, yeah, you want to know what's going to happen because it's insane, right? But like, what are your questions about like how we're going to see your character in season 2? Like, if there's any different things, like, are you asking these questions even before getting scripts for season 2?
Not really. Mostly because I always just kind of try not to think about things.
That's the best way to do it, right? Because if you do,
you never know what's going to happen. You never know if a scene's going to get added or cut. And so I try to stay in a fluid mindset and not think about it too much. Like, I remember when I was a kid and Christmas was coming, I would get too excited about it. And so the days started to feel really long. So I would pretend it wasn't coming, so that the day before I only had to like, have this jittery excitement for 24 hours. And I feel like I've treated being on Severance the same way, waiting to hear if I was going to be back for season 2. Even when I initially booked the show, because everything got shut down, I was on hold for like 4 months. So I didn't know whether or not I had booked the role for 4 months. And I think that because it started that way, of just kind of like standing at the edge of a cliff, I kind of blocked it out. But I was obviously pretty curious about what was going to happen for Natalie. And I was really excited about this last episode that came out with my scene with Tramell Tillman, Milchick, and just curious to see how people would respond, because I feel like a lot of times, especially in season 1, Natalie had this kind of routine that she did over and over. And so it was fun to kind of play around with different colors and also work with different cast members.
So you said you were on hold for 4 months, but I'm wondering, from booking, like for season 1, like booking it and then filming it, how long was that? Was that long or was that quick?
Oh man, I think it was quite a long time. I think from the time that I actually auditioned until the time that I was on set must have been something around like 9 months.
Okay, so that's perfect segue to my next question then, right? Because so much happens before you go to camera on a project, right?
Yeah.
There's like preparation, conversation. So from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as 2 journeys, right? Before filming Severance and after filming Severance. Or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about it.
About what my journey was for.
Yeah, but is it one journey or 2 journeys? Is it like before filming Severance and after filming Severance, 2 journeys, or is it one big journey with multiple steps?
I think it's 2 journeys.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way that you put that. I like that. I'm going to keep that in my head. So obviously I had a lot of free time on my hands because we were in the middle of a pandemic. So I just really started thinking about her backstory. I watched every documentary I possibly could on cults, and really dove into that and really wanted to think about her psychology. I worked with my therapist on the character as well to kind of understand how this person can treat so many people a certain way, but then have this merged, idealized relationship with the company and the founder, and with James Egan as well. And so I kind of just dove into that, just thinking about like, how did this person grow up and how did that form how she relates to people? And what do these relationships mean to her? And how does she protect herself and these relationships? Because I think for a person like Natalie, when she is so attached to something, it's almost what's gluing her together. And if she loses that, there's a threat of like a collapse inside of her psyche. And so she has to protect that at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really well said. Take me through the mindset of like those days on set where it's like, you know, like when you're actually like, because there might be days where there's shorter days, right? But those big days where you're dialed in all day part with the corporation, like what is that like? Just kind of like being kind of immersed in that world, so to speak, because it's like an interesting perspective of a show like this, right? Where it really feels like diving into another world if you think about it, right?
Absolutely. I don't think we really have any shorter days. I had one day that was short, which was season 1 when I filmed the TV interview, and that was like really quick. I think it
Yeah.
was my first day on set. So we kind of just like blew through that, tried it a bunch of different ways and improvised.
Mhm.
But most of the time we're there all day filming the scenes, talking about the scenes. We actually get the opportunity to rehearse, which is so cool and so nice because it's a rare thing. But for me, like I'll listen to psychology books. I think there's this, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I think it's like Love, Terror, and Brainwashing. So
Yeah.
I would listen to that while I was eating. I have a playlist for Natalie. So in between shots, if it was like, you know, the day was long or the break was long or the setup was long, I would like pop my music in to kind of stay inside of the world and not really be on my phone. And I think that just the set itself was so incredible and the props were so incredible. Like you open up a drawer and there's like Lumen Post-its and pens. So it was almost kind of easy to fall into the world and remain inside of it because everyone
Yeah.
had done such an amazing job to keep it feeling so real. And the lighting too, because it's just like this corporate fluorescent lighting.
Absolutely. As someone that works on this show and is in the show, how would you describe this show? Like, there's so many different, like, no, you know what I mean? Like, there's like so many different, like, it's drama, there's sci-fi, but you could say, I guess, sci-fi. I don't know. It's like, there's so many kind of things, right? It's like, do you ever talk about that with like cast or crew? Like, what is Severance? You know what I mean?
Not so much with cast and crew, but maybe my friends, because all of
Yeah.
my friends are actors. I have some friends that are not actors, but most of my friends are actors. And
Mhm.
a lot of my friends are actually fans of the show. They're like, I love you, no offense. I would watch the show without you, you know? And I think I think I don't know how to describe it because I think it's so original. It's like a dark comedy sci-fi, I
Mhm.
guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Because I think
It's genre bending for sure.
yeah, definitely, because it's terrifying, but it's also hilarious, and there are also moments that are sweet and gentle, and I think there's also
Mhm.
so much strangeness, and I think that's something that, like, Dan and the writers did such a great job of, and Ben as well, is to create this kind of, like, weird human nature to the show where people are weird, and we just maybe don't express it, especially we don't show it online to the same degree that we do in our friend circles, and so it was exciting to see how like the strangest things were the things that people latched onto the most and related to and held close to their heart.
Totally. And a couple quick more questions before we wrap up. I do find it interesting too, right? Because I feel like the answer to this question is you try not to do this, but I feel like I'm just wondering, given that this is a show that had so many people talking how it ended, right? And people were waiting and waiting for season 2. And there's like that kind of like, you know, who did it? Who is this person? That kind of mystery component and like the active, you know, audience member, right? Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Severance while you're making it? Or is that something that happens a little bit after you wrap? Like reactions or like thoughts about certain scenes? Like, does that ever happen? Like, I'm just wondering.
I I don't think I've ever really thought about that, honestly.
You know, now you're like, I am now, thanks.
Great, thanks a lot. Now I'm gonna be all in my head. No, I don't think so. I think the only time that crossed my mind a little bit was when Tramell and I were talking about the painting scene,
Yeah.
and we wanted to make sure that it was done in a way that felt like it did justice to the story, and
Mhm.
that the viewers wouldn't feel alienated by
Yeah.
that, but would feel included. So that was one like delicate subject that we had conversed about, and I had thought about the viewers for that particular case. But otherwise, I try my best to like forget who I am and forget that I'm on set and like really just take in the space for a moment and try to embody, the character. And so I haven't thought about that much.
Absolutely. And it's interesting too, because, I'm curious because you have a show like this that is so like popular and people from all around the world like really love it and freak out about all the characters. What is that like playing the waiting game and then boom, it's out moment for you? And I feel like it's like it's hard to describe, right? Like that kind of moment. Like it's in your hands and then it's out of your hands when it's like airs on Apple TV Plus.
I mean, it's definitely strange because it feels like there was so much time between the scenes. I mean, the seasons.
Yeah.
And I was in like such a different place in my life, season 1 versus season 2, that I almost feel like a different person. And so I think like just the way that I absorbed it season 1 versus the way that I've absorbed it season 2 has been really different. But it kind of felt like this like roller coaster almost of like all of this energy and like thought about Severance and then just kind of silence. And it was weird because as far as being received and the characters, like I can sometimes be a people pleaser. And so I didn't realize how fun it would be for people to just absolutely hate me and like really despise my character. So it was interesting for people to be like, you scare me, or I hate you. And I'd be like, thank you so much. Like, I love to hear that. It's like a funny, weird thing that I didn't expect to be able to really soak in as a great thing.
Absolutely. I think
I don't know if I answered your question.
it did. Absolutely. Well, I feel like it hasn't like sunk in for me that like season 2 of Severance is out. Because I feel like it's just, yeah, I know, like it doesn't, it's crazy. Because that was like a long wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It really was.
No, it's incredible. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so happy for all the crazy cool things you get to do this season. Congratulations.
So much. It's been such a pleasure.
When do you find out? Bonus question. When do you find out when, like, do you have an idea after season 1 there's gonna be some cool things, storylines, like for season 2? Do you have no idea? Yeah, exactly. Like I'm just wondering, there's some cool things with your character this season.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think like a lot of the series regulars might know some stuff, but because I'm recurring, I'm not as much in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, I never know what's going on. And I haven't even seen any of the episodes ahead of time. So like when it's coming out, I'm also watching it with the viewers for the first time. So I get to feel like a fan of the show, because I am a fan of the show, and the creators and the cast are all wonderful, humble, incredible, kind people. So it's so exciting to kind of be able to almost step back from it and watch it unfold in real time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And season 2 of Severance on Apple TV Plus. Sydney, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
For having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Your Instagram account is just your name, and it's been a lot of Severance content, let me tell you.
I know. I don't post that often, so.
Is it just your name, Sydney Cole Alexander?
Sydney Cole Alexander. Yeah.
Awesome.
I lucked out with that it was available.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Pop Turnitive, youtube.com/PopTurnitive previous episodes. Until next time, it's Sydney Cole Alexander and Peter Beats. Signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.